Hello my friends and welcome to this update video. A much cleaner version than the update video I gave before. But this one is more like a thank you video. So first off, I finally have the chance to sit down after I've done like Puyo Puyo Sun for Chess of Obscurity and whatnot. And I've never really said this, but thank you guys. Thank you for all the birthday greetings and wishes, and even the little gifts that was sent to you guys in the RCO. Yo, I don't know. I can tell you one thing. I did get myself a few things during this time. A few games for myself on PS4, and maybe a few games on Steam. But mostly what I got for myself was I got myself a new mic, as well as a new PS4 controller, and I did get myself at least one good game on Steam. And that's in between all the craziness I've been going through for the past couple of weeks. And like I mentioned on my Chest of Obscurity video, it's mainly like maintenance. So I've been going to doctor's appointments. I had to hear what they say about my health as far as what I've been doing to myself and for myself. And I had to say, they were just shocked. Most of them saying, "Why are you like this? You shouldn't be having your A1C this high or something like that." It's like you were at off the radar, and now you're kind of on the radar. You're like in pre-diabetes, and now you are on no diabetes to pre-diabetes. You need to do this. You need to do that. And I tell them straight out, I'm taking medicine. I am taking my medicine daily. It's just a whole lot of things are going on outside of that. You know, I'm eating differently. I'm I'm not eating meat very often, but I'm eating more fruits and vegetables. I mean, I still eat meat, but it's like when I'm going out to say my other appointments, I go to therapy. Yeah, I'm going to get something to eat afterwards. It's either going to be something from Carl's Jr. or maybe Chipotle. In very rare times, it's going to be Jack in the Box. And the one thing I'm just going to be doing is I'm either going to have a burger, a sandwich, or a salad. Or maybe I might have something else in mind. I mean, there are plenty of places where I go to. It's right across from the hospital where I take my therapy. So I go to group therapy for those that don't know. I take group therapy as well as my other form of therapy, my one-on-one sessions. And all I do is I'm there for like about 50 minutes, if not like say a full 90. Because mind you, the therapy I have, it's in one spot of the hospital. And it's on the other side of the hospital. And on top of that, it's under construction. The one of the spots of the hospital that is just under construction is like where the entrance is, or rather are. And most times, they're trying to work. I'm trying to work a way around getting from the hospital And what I mean by I mean, yeah. Um, Uber picks me up, take me to, takes me down to the place, but it's up to me to actually guide them to the drop point. And mind you, they have various drop points, but they they don't really trust their own judgment. They go by the GPS. So this, they really do not trust their own judgment. There have been many few times they would just not like the service because of that. Because it's holding them back from being really good drivers, and they don't know. Oh, hey, you don't really have to rely on that, especially if this place is so confusing. They have these drop points, but they don't use the drop points. No, they'll use a pickup point, no problem, but they won't use the drop points. It is what it is, but it's just how it is. So, afterwards, after a whole month of going to my checkups, my appointments, turns out, the usual. I need to do this, I need to do that. Basically, raise my dosage of one of my medications that I take, and it's on a weekly basis. I just take it once a week, but all I have to do is raise the dosage. For everything else, I have to take once, twice a week. There's some medications I take once a day, and there are others I had to take twice a day. So it's like once, twice a day. And most of it is just supplemental medication. That's just to make sure that everything about me is properly regulated. So therefore, nothing happens. Like I get a heart attack or blood pressure goes up or anything worse than that. I don't think there's anything worse than me having a heart attack. But it is what it is. And on top of that, I'm in the middle of a lot of things outside of, what I'm currently doing on YouTube. So I'm making time to do the following. Within 3 days' time, I'm trying to make a whole week's worth of content on YouTube. And it's been working itself out. And for what it's worth, my load is kind of changing because, oh hey, there's this going on, there's that going on, I'm taking in more voiceover jobs, especially if it's going to be like, oh, in person, okay, sure. I just recently did a 5-minute take of me doing 3 prompts and a script read. And I can tell you, doing something like something from memory. Pick something out of memory. Like this crazy thing you found in life, this embarrassing thing in life. So the one thing I pointed out was, and most of the guys remember this, but there was a point in which, when I was living at the old place, I mentioned that I got locked out of the house because of my mom forgetting I went and took the trash out. And they were snickering because I forgot I didn't have the keys on me. And she forgot that I was outside. I didn't go nowhere. I just went outside, took the trash out. It's even funnier. Yeah, I forgot I didn't have the keys on me. But that's one of the few things I mentioned. Alongside that, I mentioned about, you know, the one time in my life I was treated with some kind of compassion, and the third thing was they wanted to keep it short and sweet, but my dialect, I can tell you this, I don't know what my dialect is. All I know is I have a southern drawl, and the drawl it's kind of sleepy. And as for how I talk, sometimes I have a lisp. So the lisp, I kind of joke with the lisp. Sometimes you hear it, but I really joke with it. Because back in the day when I was younger, I had a problem speaking. So for those who don't know, I have cerebral palsy. So it's a thing. It's a thing that I deal with all the time, every day. But I'm taking my time with it. Sometimes I have breaks in how I speak. Sometimes I have pauses. Breaks and pauses are totally different. Because a break is when I'm doing something. It's kind of hard to explain. But whenever you have a break, it's usually like I'm talking and all of a sudden I cut myself off. Because I'm in the middle of something and all of a sudden something else catches my eye. Or if I'm pausing, this is a pause. I remember one time on some YouTube video I did, somebody felt irritated because I did that. And all I can say is, I can't help that. Sometimes it just happens, and I have no control over that. So it is what it is. It's a side effect of what I got to deal with all this time. Even now, I'm constantly aware of it. I know I had to deal with it, but, it is what it is. So regardless, things are starting to look up. As far as what I'm doing for myself, it is a good thing. Things are really looking up. I'm moving up for myself, despite, where my living arrangements are. Yeah, this is a temp spot, but guess what? The one thing I'm doing is I'm making the most of this temp spot, and there's nothing wrong. The thing I find funny is, just going through the motions with all of this, after living most of your life at your home, the only place you basically just grew up in. After 46 years, it has been, it has been just as is, Your everything changes, you know, your whole life. It sort of expands and you don't know what to do with it. That's how I've been living. But at the same time, it's like with anything else. You kind of grow out of it. So, after like what? Almost a whole. That's about 6 months. After 6 months already, it's like now I'm thinking forward. Now, since this happened, since all the events in my life transpired, and it happened, and the biggest thing I gained out of all this is my validation. for my disability. The most beautiful thing I can say now is I can move on with my life. It's just now I want to do the following. I want to have my own place. I want to still keep the show going. And, at the same time, just enjoy my life. And live it to the best I can live from it. That's the only thing I can do at this point in time. Because guess what? It's just as you see it right here. No matter what anyone says, I'm myself. Nobody but me decides how I live my life. There's a thing about me doing screenshots of certain games because they have the most profound lines you could ever find for yourself. And I was surprised that SRW, which is 35 years old, by the way, the franchise itself is 35 years. You can find something in a game series that basically kind of speaks out to you. And I could say 30 has been one of the most profound games I've ever played out of the entirety of the series so far. And they had some profound lines. And this one really stood out because, in truth, you are what you are. And, it's truth. Nobody decides how you live your life except you. That's what most people do not realize. It's like after finally realizing and being taught, okay, you don't realize it, but you were traumatized by this. And mind you, this is my brother telling me all this. For some time, I didn't realize all this. And I'm glad I was told, oh, hey, you can move on from this. You can only go up from here. The little things I don't know, I enjoy hearing that. There was a time in which I couldn't deal with a lot of things, because, I feel like nobody could understand what I was going through, especially how things were going on in my head. Basically, more like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? How am I going to deal with this? How am I going to do this? Everything else. And blah, 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 blah. It's like a flurry of punches. It's like, how can I block? How can I counter? How can I just slow things down to where I can catch some of them? It's like boom, 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 boom. Everything is going so fast. Just like, bah, 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 bah. And you're trying to block. And at the same time, as you're blocking, you're trying to at least counter them and slap away a few of those punches. At least, give yourself some breathing room. But at the same time, it's like you're basically doing this the entire time, and your head is going, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're supposed to be doing. Okay, let's think about this from this angle. That sort of thing. But I could tell you, it is not as easy as one thinks it is. But at the same time, if you walk through it, no matter what situation it is, it's not as bad as you think. Now, me doing more voiceover work, it's a good thing. It really is. And I don't mind if it's just that one, it's like a one time thing or whatever. It's going to help me in the long run. Because the more I'm offered certain things, the more, the more I'm building up my reputation as a voiceover, a contractor. I'm building up my reputation, like good reputation. The more I'm getting into the exposure of it all, the more I understand my field. Because I just call it what it is. I'm an artist. Regardless of what people say or how people see me, I'm an artist. I've always been an artist. And the fact that I never gave up on the craft. It's like my book is proof of that. And I mentioned this in Just of Obscurity, but I am working on another poetry book. The first one is called Transparent, Volume 1. And this one is Volume 2. I don't know what it is with Volume 2. Probably not so transparent. Volume 2. In which I dub it, I'm not an NPC, I'm a protagonist, damn it. The way I say it sounds funnier. I'm the protagonist, not an NPC, damn it. Mostly that's how it is. It's just going to be like this whole set of books that's just going to make sense. But like I said, a few things I'm working on and still working on is that one book. And I got like about 18 or less pages to basically rough draft up. And for most of what I'm doing right now is I'm just typing up what I've been doing for last year and this year. So by the time when I'm done with the entirety of the project, the last thing I'm going to do is going to be my thoughts about what I was going through. I was going through with each poem, like the artist notes. So it just says, well, this is what I was going through when I was writing this. And keep in mind, when I'm doing like poetry, it does take about, say, a couple of days. Because I'm thinking about what to add to this, what to say to this. And on top of that, when I'm done writing it down, then I'm going to sit down with it, type it up, and just edit on the fly. And sometimes it takes an hour just to edit, just full-blown edit a poem. And usually it'd be like about maybe 2 pages long. And the fact that it becomes 2 pages, it's like, that's like a good, I want to say a good 10-minute read. Like I said, if you've ever heard me read a poem, it's an experience. Because whenever I read something, I put some emphasis into what I read. That's something that most people do not realize as a Let's Player. that if you're going to be doing this, then you got to put some emphasis in what you're doing. You're not just playing a game. You're not just doing this. You're doing something more than just playing a game. You are the show. You are the one man show. You're doing the story. You're doing the cast. You are basically building the story with your own voice. You're not only just doing that, but you're playing the game. You're telling and showing your audience how you got from point A to point B and everything that goes with it. So that means keeping the game overs in or just cut them out, but you're basically showing the whole entirety of how you play one game. And that's something that most people do not realize. And that's the funny thing I also do sometimes when I'm not working on stuff. Yeah, sometimes I do give some advice on Reddit. Not all the time, but sometimes. Only when I can say I can share my experience with it, but other than that, most times I am just going through my emails, seeing if there's anything going on. I'm keeping track with, my case, seeing what's going on with the next stage of where I am right now. And, it is a thing, but, you just gotta know what's going on. So let's see. In 4 out of the rain, so. Yeah. Okay, let's see. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually texting my therapist about my case. It usually is a thing, but it is what it is. Aside from that, yeah, I have been so busy with a lot of programs. And man, let me tell you, it's just been tiring. Not a bad thing, but in hindsight, good lord, oh, it's been a thing. So that's why things have been slowing down a bit on the old homestead, especially when you're doing videos. It's like SRW has been slowing down a bit because I'm going through 30 GC, Megaton Musashi, double, cross, which is X, and V. I haven't touched V or cross yet because I want to make sure that when I'm going to do this, you know, that my recorder doesn't crash. That's the reason why you haven't seen anything from V or cross, is because I've been adjusting the screen just to make sure nothing happens and, you know, it doesn't crash. The same thing with GC. I've been doing that with almost all the SRW games so far. And they haven't given me an issue since I've done that. It's very weird, but it is what it is. With other games, though, it's not as bad. You know, I do, you know, manual recording, screen capture. You know, I do that just to say, okay, I'm just going to do 50 to an hour worth of playtime and get them up for, say, Wednesday or so, you know, whatnot. Just to say, okay, this is for Wednesday. Boom, 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 you know. Then once Wednesday comes, okay, I'm working on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, into Sunday. Okay. Then once we're done with that, I'm not going to have time for Thursday, so Friday. Okay. I am working on, I got Saturday up, I got Sunday up. Now time to work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. At least get to Wednesday. Because my whole line is basically get through one game, and then after I'm done with this part of the game, go do this other game, and then say do 3 parts of this. Because like I said, I got a lot of games going on. I have Hacker's Memory, Bakeru. I haven't done Bakeru because of Hacker's Memory. So I'm currently doing Hacker's Memory, Bakeru, WrestleQuest. Haven't forgotten about WrestleQuest. Let's see, what else have I got? Oh yeah, I still got those other games I have not finished, like G.I. Joe, Wrath of Cobra, and Yakuza 5 Remastered. And there's other stuff too, but I'll get to them in time. But I'm nearly done with Hacker's Memory and WrestleQuest. Bakeru is still going to be up. It's just going to take me some time to get back into it, but, you know, I'll have something for it and be like, I want to say, when May gets around, I'll probably have a rest of Bakeru and whatever else I got going on my list up. And most likely I'll have like a couple games just knocked out. Another game I got for myself would be Dragon Ball FighterZ. Because I told you I went to a Dragon Ball fighter game convention last weekend. And the games I have, like, I have only a couple. I have Xenoverse 1, and Xenoverse 2. And I'm like, well, I had Xenoverse 1 and 2 on Steam. I have it on PS4. I have Dragon Ball FighterZ, but it's on PS4. But I might as well get the Legendary Edition that has everything on it. You know, the definitive edition. Get everything that's on it and just like, you know what? Let's do an LP of it. Because I hadn't done a Dragon Ball Let's Play in a while since the last one I did. I left it off on a cliffhanger. And they were 2 of them. They were Battle of Z and Budokai 3 Director's Edition. Director's Cut. and or like to call it greatest hits. But like I said, the last thing I was going to do for Budokai 3 was just show off all the Dragon Balls. Just go. That's all it really was. Just a Dragon Ball flying video. And depending on who I chose, well, oh, hey, Dragon Ball's here, Dragon Ball there, and you're going through like 3 storylines. So, it is what it is. Aside from that, though, wow. Like I said, just after everything, I just been bushed. You know, after going through multiple, and I do mean multiple, appointments. One was for pulmonary, another one was a checkup. 2 checkups. Well, no, I take it back. 3 checkups, a pulmonary, and a gang of therapy appointments. And on top of that, practice. Cantata practice, if not choir rehearsal. It's just been really, really, really exhausting. And I'm actually glad that things are coming back to schedule to where I don't mind going to group therapy on Thursday and going to see, my therapist, every 2 weeks. It's only going to be like 30 minutes. And all we're doing is playing catch up, sharing notes, and seeing what's going on. It's just been so tiring. So next time I go to my, since I'm in a poetry club, next time I go there will be next Tuesday. Next Tuesday night. And I already have something already set up for that. Which I never shared last month, but it's going to be shared this month. And I managed to get somebody to join from the choir because he himself is an artist. So, iron sharpens iron, that sort of thing. But I'm actually glad I went to that Dragon Ball convention. Even if for 2 days. One day was enough. That Saturday, it was enough for me. And I'm very glad that I did that. I just needed that weekend from the weekend. Because I really did. I was just so tired and just, from everything I was doing up to this point, I'm like, I could use that break. So, I plan to do AX. I plan to do AX next, it's going to be in July, so I got plenty of time. It's not like, oh, I gotta prepare. Like, no, I got time. Plus, on top of that, they might drop the price on the 4 day. Right now, the 4 days is like 80 bucks. 177. Last I checked on the site, it was 177 for all 4 days. And knowing me, I'm only going to be going 2 of them days. Because that's a rule for me. If it's like it falls on the weekend, the least I will do is go, well, if I can make Thursday, I'll go Thursday, which will be my day 0. Pick up my badge, and go. Then day one shows up. Then all I have to do is just put on my badge and just open access. And then after that would be, day two. I pick up something for myself, pick up something for my friends. Because day one is just going to be, I find something for myself. So that way it's like, I guess I can set up for when I move. That's going to be added to the pile. Probably get myself a few books. I don't know. A few manga. I don't know. Maybe get some manga. I'm not sure what they'll have, but I'm going to get something out of it. That's for damn sure. I owe myself AX, okay? I really do. I owe myself that much. Another thing I owe myself is I need to go to, I would like to go to the Comic-Con, which is usually at the damn near end of the year. So we're talking about October, November, something like that. It's either around October, November, or December, because usually they have that end of the year thing. So it's either between those 3 months. Because it's barely under September. October for sure, or November at the most. And at very rare few times it'll be December. So my plan is basically after the move, and learning where all my points of interest going to be at whenever I take the bus is going to be, or say Uber or Lyft or even Access. It's like, okay, this is my point. This is where I am now. This is where I'm going to be at afterwards, and that sort of thing. But preparation. That's all it's about, preparation. But things are really moving the way I want them to move, and the way I like them to be moved. And it is a good thing. It is rather, in hindsight, a relief after everything that has been going on. And I'm breathing a lot easier. I'm taking better care of myself than I was previously. Despite what the doctors are saying, you still see me moving about. I'm still doing what I'm supposed to do for myself. And, I've been told a couple of good things. I've been told, I'm at more peace with myself, and I am. I can tell I am at more peace with myself. And at a point, I've been told that, I'm getting a lot stronger, and I believe that. I am getting stronger. I'm enjoying myself more often. I'm happier. I can crack a joke. I can crack a better joke than what I've been doing. And for the most part, I've been more outgoing. I've been more this and more that. It's not comfort zone. We're talking about I'm just naturally coming out of it. Whenever I was going through, I'm naturally coming out of it. And the things I want to basically confront, I want to confront them. And just say, you know what? Time to put this to bed. Time to send it to the barn. Time to drag it out of the shed. And time to bury it. And, of course, burn the remains. I'm ready to do that, it's all part of moving on. So therefore, hey, I moved on from this, but it's time, I put closure behind it. That's all it's really about. Aside from that, though, everything that is going on has been going on and will be going on. So don't worry about it if you haven't missed one friggin' episode of whatever it is you like watching on this channel. It's gonna be there. Commentary and all. Okay? So with that said, yeah, I need to get that out. 45 minutes, yeah, I need to get that out. It was quite a bit of a romp and roll through just 2 months. 2 months, and a lot of things are changing within said 2 months. But it's only gonna get better from here. So there's that. So until next time, of whatever I plan to get myself back into going on, I'm gonna pack and roll and carry a umbrella on hand because it's supposed to be raining in like a couple hours. So gotta dress accordingly. So until next time, or whatever the hell I plan to do, I've been your friendly neighborhood Tenkaichi, PI7, and I'll see you next time with some more great content. So until then, take care. Dai Tenso, Tenkai Muso.